Welcome to 215 Maple Drive. We just put this property.
Good evening and welcome to the Tibet Center here at 151 West 30th Street, 3rd floor. Tonight we're celebrating His Holiness the Dalai Lama's 91st birthday. So we shall begin by reciting the prayer for the spreading of the teachings throughout the length and breadth of the West, which you'll find in the prayer section. By the force of the blessings of the non-fallacious three precious gems, and of the truth of our pure selfless wishes, may the precious Buddhist teachings flourish and spread to the expanse of all areas throughout the length and breadth of the West. For all the people living there, together with their near ones, who have engaged in the teachings and have faith and respect for them, may all conditions adverse to their practice of the pure Dhamma be dispelled, and an excellent collection of favorable conditions increase like the waxing moon. And especially for those who work on methods to accomplish the flourishing and spreading of the victorious one's teachings, which are the source of benefit and happiness, may they never be oppressed by masses of interference and adverse conditions, and may this spontaneously happen just as we have hoped and wished. We'll read the Heart Sutra. Thus have I heard once. The Blessed One was dwelling in the royal domain of the Vulture Peak Mountain, together with a big gathering of great monks and great bodhisattvas. At that time, the Blessed One entered the Samadhi, which examines the Dharmas, called profound illumination. And at the same time, noble Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, looking at the profound practice of transcendent knowledge, saw the five skandhas in their natural emptiness. Then, through the inspiration of the Buddha, the Venerable Shariputra said to Avalokiteshvara, how should those noble ones learn who wish to follow the profound practice of transcendent knowledge? And Avalokiteshvara answered, Venerable Shariputra, whoever wishes to follow the profound practice of transcendent knowledge should look at it like this, seeing the five skandhas in their natural emptiness. Form is empty, emptiness itself is form. Emptiness is not separate from form. Form is not separate from emptiness. In the same way, feeling, discriminating awareness, compositional factors, and consciousness are empty. Thus all the dharmas are empty, they have no characteristics. They are one unceasing. They are not incurable cure. They neither decrease nor increase. Therefore, since their emptiness, there is no form, no feeling, no discriminating awareness,
no compositional factors, no consciousness, no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no appearance, no sound, no smell, no taste, no sensation, no objects of mind, no quality of sight, no quality of hearing, no quality of smelling, no quality of tasting, no quality of sensing, no quality of thought, no quality of mind consciousness. There are no nidanas from ignorance to old age and death, nor there are out. There is no suffering, no cause of suffering, no ending of suffering, and no path, no wisdom, no attainment, no non-attainment. Therefore, since there is no attainment, the bodhisattvas abide by means of transcendent knowledge. And since there is no obscurity of mind, they have no fear, they just impulsively and pass beyond the bounds of sorrow. All the Buddhas that dwell on the past, present, and future, by means of transcendent knowledge, fully and clearly awaken to unsurpassed true complete enlightenment. Therefore, the mantra of transcendent knowledge, the mantra of deep insight, the unsurpassed mantra, the unequal mantra, the mantra which calms all suffering should be known as truth. In the transcendent knowledge, the mantra is proclaimed.
This is
And the Blessed One arose from his samadhi and praised the Bodhisattva saying, Good, good, O son of noble family, profound transcendent knowledge should be practiced just as you have taught, and the Tathagatas will rejoice. When the Blessed One says this, carefully turn Avalokiteshvara, that whole gathering of the world,
humans, asuras, and Gandharvas, their hearts full of praise. Praise the Lord. Okay, we generate bodhicitta. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind intent on full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space endures, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind intent on full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space endures, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space endures, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. Okay, so let us read this long life prayer for His Holiness the Dalai Lama, and then we will recite Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum, as we know, is the mantra of compassion. His Holiness the Dalai Lama is considered to be the manifestation of the compassion of all Buddhas. So the compassionate, the compassionate quality of all Buddhas is given a form, a sentient form, and that is His Holiness. And so as we recite Om Mani Padme Hum, we can think of him as being the embodiment of that. And that embodiment of compassion is something that we should wish to actually develop in ourselves, to compassion, that wish to remove the suffering of others. We wish to actually live that. Okay. So, to the assembly of most kind teachers, both present and past, the miraculous dance of the body, speech, and mind of innumerable Buddhas manifest in accord with aspirants' spiritual capacities, the wish-granting jewel, the source of all virtue and goodness. To you we offer our prayers with fervent devotion. That Tenzin Gyatso, protector of the land of snows, live for 100 eons. Shower on him your blessings, so that his aspirations are fulfilled without hindrance. To the assembly of all meditational deities, manifest as monarchs and divinities, the magical clouds of immaculate transcendent wisdom, reaching to the farthest expanse of the space of ultimate reality. To you we offer our prayers with fervent devotion, that Tenzin Gyatso, protector of the land of snows, live for 100 eons. Shower on him your blessings, so that his aspirations are fulfilled without hindrance. To all the victorious Buddhas of the 3 times, endowed with 10 powers, and who are even masters of the gods, and whose attributes of perfection are the source of all compassionate deeds, benefiting the vast ocean-like realm of sentient beings, to you we offer our prayers with fervent devotion, that Tenzin Gyatso, protector of the land of snows, live for 100 eons. Shower on him your blessings, so that his aspirations are fulfilled without hindrance. To the assembly of sacred doctrine embodied in the 3 vehicles, supremely serene, a jewel treasure of enlightenment, stainless, unchanging, eternally good, and the glory of all virtues, which actually liberates beings from the sufferings of the 3 worlds. To you we offer our prayers with fervent devotion, that Tenzin Gyatso, protector of the land of snows, live for 100 eons. Shower on him your blessings, so that his aspirations are fulfilled without hindrance. To all members of the enlightened, noble spiritual community, who never stray from the thoroughly liberating Adamantan city, who possess the wisdom eye that directs the seeds of truth, and the highest valor to destroy all the temptations of secular existence, to you we offer our prayers with fervent devotion, that Tenzin Gyatso, protector of the land of snows, live for 100 eons. Shower on him your blessings, so that his aspirations are fulfilled without hindrance. To the assembly of heroes and dakinis, heavenly beings of the 3 worlds, who appear in the highest paradises, in the sacred places, and in the cremation grounds, and who, through creative play and 100-fold experience of bliss and emptiness, support practitioners in their meditation on the excellent path. To you we offer our prayers of fervent devotion, that Tenzin Gyatso, protector of the land of snows, live for 100 eons. Shower on him your blessings, so that his aspirations are fulfilled without hindrance. To the ocean of protectors endowed with eyes of transcendent wisdom, the powerful guardians and upholders of the teachings, who wear inseparably on their native flags the knot symbolizing their pledge to the Vajra holder. To you we offer our prayers with fervent devotion. That Tenzin Gyatso, protector of the land of snows, live for 100 eons. Shower on him your blessings, so that his aspirations are fulfilled without hindrance. Thus, to this congregation of excellent, undeceiving refuge, we pray that by the power of his prayer, expressed from a heart filled with fervent devotion and humility, may the body, speech, and mind of the soul of the land of snows, the supreme Ngawang Losang Tenzin Gyatso, be indestructible, unfluctuating, and unceasing. May he live immutable for 100 eons, seated on his dominant throne, transcending decay and destruction.
You are the true heart and body of all compassion and beneficial deeds.
O most courageous one, you carry upon your shoulders the burden of all Buddhas of infinite benevolence. May all your noble aspirations be fulfilled as intended. By virtue of this, may the doors of the fortunate era open, eternally as a source of relief and respite for all beings. And may the auspicious sign reach the grass and release as the sacred teachings flourish through all the times and in all realms. May the nectar stream of blessings of the always fill our hearts and nourish it with strength. May we please you with our offerings of dedicated practice, and may we reach beyond the shores of perfect compassionate deeds. Through the blessings of the wondrous Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, by the infallible truth of the laws of independent origination, and by the purity of our fervent aspirations, may the aims of my prayers be fulfilled without hindrance. Okay, so thinking of that aspiration for the long life of His Holiness, who today in his talk said that he had had visions that he would live to be 130. So let us recite Om Mani Padme Hum and try to cultivate within ourselves that quality of compassion that he manifests as, that he is the representation of, that he acts upon. Okay. Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. So, as we recite Om Mani Padme Hum, what we are trying to do is cultivate within ourselves the wish to remove the suffering of others. It's an aspiration, it's a wish. The ability to remove the suffering of others is, of course, what we then work to develop once we have that wish. But first we have to have the wish. His Holiness composed this book that we are discussing, Ethics for the New Millennium. And the composition of this book is far more than a wish to remove the suffering of others. It is the presentation of the methods by which others can diminish their suffering. So it is the acting out of that wish to remove the suffering of others. It is the skillful process of helping others remove their suffering. So we shall follow these instructions by His Holiness on how we can remove our suffering. And from my notes, we reach page 55. That. So to go to the top of 55, which is what we were discussing last week, according to my experience, the principal characteristic of genuine happiness is peace, inner peace. By this, I do not mean some kind of feeling of being spaced out, nor am I speaking of an absence of feeling. On the contrary, the peace I am describing is rooted in concern for others and involves a high degree of sensitivity and feeling. Although I cannot claim personally to have succeeded very far in this, rather, I attribute my sense of peace to the effort to develop concern for others. And so this effort to develop concern for others, the effort to develop concern for others is the cultivation of compassion. As we put effort into cultivating the wish to remove the suffering of others, that's just what this is. This is compassion. So that's where we left off. And as we discussed last week, it's not necessarily the ability to remove the suffering of others or the concern for others. It's the effort. It's putting effort into it. And that's I think that there is some sort of belief that spiritual development or spiritual evolution is some kind of grace that we receive without effort. I think that the grace that we might receive will always be as a result of effort. To be open to be ready for some kind of outer blessing is the result of getting ourselves to the point of being ready for it. And so we have to make the effort to arrive at a point where we have concern for others.
Is the effort only mental, or is it physical as well?
So I would say that if we care for ourselves, the effort that we put into caring for ourselves, if it is in order to be able to help others, the effort that we put into, let's say, doing exercises to be able to be of benefit to others is physical. The effort that we put into actually helping others is, of course, the next step. But if you're asking specifically about the effort to develop the concern, I think that we can mix in physical. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's about the motivation, right, behind the actions, whether it's mental or physical. It's just sometimes people think it's only one or the other. It's being able to have that mental awareness while you're doing physical actions that gives you that motivation, right?
So, this fact that inner peace is the principal characteristic of happiness explains the paradox that while we can all think of people who remain dissatisfied despite having every material advantage, there are others who remain happy notwithstanding the most difficult circumstances. So that's an interesting paradox to consider and to really help us recognize that the acquiring of all that we might wish for is not what gets us to be happy, but that the satisfaction, contentment with what we have, and the development of a concern for others is. Yes?
Interesting when you talk about making the effort to strengthen our physical selves so that we can, as opposed to allowing ourselves to completely decline and into decrepitude. You know, not that we would require assistance, but that we're strong enough to continue to serve in whatever way we can, whenever we can, as the opportunity presents. So thank you.
And so I've reached that age where I have to push myself to do some little bit of exercise to keep a little bit healthy, and it's in no way something that I wish to do. I find excuses every morning. But if I do the exercises to feel better, that can be selfish. If I do the same exercises as you were saying, it's all motivation. If I really push myself in order to really maintain a clear mind, to be able to engage in my practice, read, study more effectively, then it becomes something. So that motivation is really helpful.
It's interesting to me what she said, because certainly I probably have to be older than you are, and you know, got into this age category. I definitely feel that the need to keep myself in condition, so not only, you know, that I can continue to be of assistance to others, but also not to be a burden upon others, and that I have to come to.
I like that she's saying.
When I was younger, you know, I was very enthusiastic about science. But I must say, at that time, although it was a lot of effort, it was really, I have to say, a purely selfish kind of thing, just simply for the sensation of it, and that I enjoyed it. But I also, you know, I might add that I started to think, and when you get on the airline, and there's a safety announcements, they always tell mothers to put on the oxygen mask first before you attend, you know, to your children. And that's you know, it's true that in all age groups, it's necessary, if you really want to be of assistance, that you need to preserve, you know, your health.
But I wonder whether the need to make that announcement over and over and over is because the natural tendency of a mother would be to help the child first.
Absolutely.
I tell him I'm not going to be a Sherpa anymore. Seems effective.
I don't want to get into. So I do think that, you know, when we begin our day, and I think that's the moment where we actually have a little bit of control over the direction things go from then on. If we set our motivation, then if we say, you know, may all the effort that I put into the different aspects of my life be for the benefit of others, and we can think about that a little bit. Then when we do our exercises, when we ride our bicycle, whatever it is that we do, it's all sort of covered. So we can do a sort of blanket cover of motivation. We can check ourselves, but it's very hard to maintain. Well, what do you think about our ability to maintain a virtuous motivation throughout the day? And so if we can do that, and lying in bed before you get out of bed, if you can think in those terms. You were asking me, what do you do first thing in the morning?
Me?
No, you asked me. And I remember
Last week,
asking,
yeah.
and I remember, what did I answer?
How grateful you are that you're living in a beautiful temple, and you're grateful, and you have an attitude of gratitude when you wake up.
So I try to think about the fact that just as I want happiness and don't want to suffer, each and every other person wants happiness and doesn't want to suffer. I try to wake up thinking that. And then I try just in breathing to think that I'm removing the suffering of others and providing them with happiness. And I imagine that. And then hopefully I get to the point before I have to get out of bed for whatever reason is pulling me out of bed, to think, may whatever I do in the day be devoted to helping remove the suffering of others and providing them with what they wish for. I don't often get to there. But those are the thoughts. And literally, while lying in bed before getting out of bed, if we can just have a little routine like that, it helps. Yes.
Strictly speaking, is your first thought of the day supposed to be the refuge prayer?
No.
Not necessarily.
You're being strict. No. I'm
No.
whatever you like. You can take refuge first thing in the morning. You can think about, as I just suggested, think about the fact that each and every other sentient being wishes to be happy, wishes not to suffer. We can simply think of breathing in the suffering of others and providing them with happiness. We can take refuge. We can think of the suffering that we're experiencing in cyclic existence and recognize the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha as being protection from that suffering, and therefore take refuge. It's a free world. You can
So in order to have the wish to help other people and be grateful for where we are, we have to be in a good state of mind to get there. So we need to get rid of our own suffering to be in a positive mood.
So I don't. Are you suggesting that we should begin the day by determining that we want to get out of our own suffering?
I'm just commenting that depending on where we are in the path, we need to recognize that, things happened the day before and it may not be so easy to wake up with a positive attitude.
Yes, but if we wish, if we say, I'm in a state of suffering and I wish to get out of this state of suffering, that's within what we call renunciation, renouncing our preoccupation with the affairs of this life. Yes? Is that what you're talking about? So that's a wonderful aspiration. You recognize the suffering that exists in the world. You recognize the suffering that you're experiencing, and you determine to devote yourself to getting out of that state of suffering. And you then enter the day with that determination to go through your day working towards extricating yourself from the cyclic existence. And what is at the root of our of that vicious circle?
Grasping.
And so you can determine to work at recognizing the lack of self which you are grasping at.
Yeah.
So there are all these ways we can start our day as you're lying there in bed. And before you get up, you can use these. Of course, you can sit up and you can think really straight and you can really get into. But I'm talking about before you even get to there, just beginning with something that pulls you out of bed.
At the end of the day, do you do a reckoning or a dedication of merit? Especially if you've forgotten to do that during the course of your day. Because that's how it works.
If you can remember to, it's very important. If you can get to the end of the day and think, go over your day and recognize the things that you may have done not so well and regret and determine not to do that, and the things that you've done well and you rejoice and you thereby give yourself the encouragement to keep on in that direction. Wonderful. Then you dedicate all the merit to all sentient beings. But to remember to do that. So all of these things, I think, are part of this effort. The word effort in that sentence, rather, I attribute my sense of peace to the effort to develop concern for others, the effort to remember to, we have to put effort into it. It doesn't, as I was saying before, grace, this concept of grace, I think, is the result of effort. It's not something that comes miraculously.
Or I've found recently feeling less than optimistic and positive, and having a negative cloak for a moment. And instead of wallowing in it, I've remembered that it's transitory. It's another wave, and it'll pass, and carry on with. So that's also been helpful in not sinking into a non-altruistic or a non-beneficial state.
There's another, like if you're in a situation like that, prayer. And you can pray to Jesus, God, whomever you want to pray to, any sort of virtuous element that you wish to, the Buddhas, the Bodhisattvas, that wish, that request for help, and that wish to get to a better place, that aspiration, that wish in itself. I think that in prayer, it's not necessarily the blessing provided by those outer forces that benefits you. It's your effort. So, to continue, so His Holiness has been saying that, in fact, the inner peace is the principal characteristic of happiness. Explains the paradox that while we can all think of people who remain dissatisfied despite having every material advantage, there are others who remain happy notwithstanding the most difficult circumstances. Then he talks about the Tibetan people. Consider the example of those 80,000 Tibetans who during the months following my escape into exile, this was in 1959, left Tibet for the sanctuary offered them by the Indian government. The conditions they faced were hard in the extreme. There was little food available and even less medicine. The refugee camps could offer no better accommodation than canvas tents. Most people had few possessions beyond the clothes they had left home in. They wore heavy chubas, the traditional Tibetan dress, appropriate to our harsh winters, when what they really needed in India was the lightest cotton. And there was terrible sickness from diseases unknown in Tibet. Yet for all their hardship, today the survivors exhibit few signs of trauma. Even then, few entirely lost confidence. Fewer still gave in to their feeling of sorrow and despair. I would even say that once the initial shock had passed, the majority remained quite optimistic and, yes, happy. So, having lived for many years among Tibetan refugees in a Tibetan refugee settlement, and even from when I first arrived to today, when I first arrived, the circumstances were really difficult. And I mean, I won't go into the specifics, but the elder monks would tell stories about when they first arrived from Tibet. And in the infirmary of where they were staying, which was an old British political prison in West Bengal, which was no longer being used as a prison, and therefore Prime Minister Nehru offered it to His Holiness as a place where the monks could all live together and maintain their monastic traditions. And there was an infirmary, and the elder monks would talk about how when they went to receive injections or whatever, they would, the doctor would take the syringe and scratch it against the wall to sharpen it for the next person. And the monks wouldn't say this with horror. They would say it with a big smile on their face. You remember when they scratched the... and then they would go to the local doctors, and so there was the Tibetan government hospital in the settlement where I was living, and they had proper medical procedures. They had well-trained nurses. They had a doctor who knew his stuff. But they preferred to go into town to the local quack. And what they liked about the local quack was that he would give them intravenous medicines, and they would say, "You can feel the effect of that." And goodness knows what they were being given. One of my teachers went through this and got infected in some way, and his arm got all big, and they had to take him to the hospital in Hubli, and there was fear that they were going to have to actually remove his arm, but antibiotics worked, and he was cured. But again, with a smile, he went through this, and the finer scholars, young scholars in the monastery. When I say young, the scholars who escaped out of Tibet in the 80s and early 90s would come and debate with fervor way into the night. They would work at memorizing, waking up early in the morning. They spent very little time sleeping, and their bodies and the food at that time was so poor. We had tea in the morning. We had bread and tea. In the morning, there was a little butter and milk in the tea. Lunch, there was just black tea and bread. And then it was big round breads that were cut into strips that were then distributed. And then in the evening, there was usually rice and dal. And I remember suggesting that we add a banana, so we had some fruit. So every once in a while, we'd get a banana. And I remember there was a group of monks who came to America in the late 80s, and someone in America heard about this diet and offered money to provide fruit to all the monks at Drepung Loseling. And so one day, these two trucks arrived from far away from the north of India, drove all the way to the south with apples. And each monk was given 5 apples. And it was so exciting. I mean, I can remember it still. We each got an apple, 5. And we guarded those apples. I mean, people were not very generous with those 5 apples, but we all got 5 apples. And then that was it. And then maybe 2-3 months later, a few trucks arrived, and they had these big cardboard boxes, and each of us was given half a box of apples. That was about 12 or 15 apples. But those apples were late in the season. By the time they had gotten down there, they weren't very fresh anymore. We were all very generous with these apples. But it was all done with, there was no, it was all done with smiles. And so these hardships were welcomed. And as I listened to monks talk about the time back then, with great happiness, their memories are not, oh gosh, what difficulties went through. No, we were all quite happy. There was, so I don't know how that pertains to what we're discussing, but yeah.
Didn't everybody get sick from the mosquitoes?
No, there wasn't much malaria. And actually, when I left here to go there in the mid-'80s, I went with my malaria, and I was told that there are 2 kinds of malaria. There's the one for which you take quinine, and then there's the one, it's cerebral malaria or something like that. You take something far stronger, and my doctor here said, it's better if you take the cerebral, and so I went off with my pills. And then I went to see the local doctor, and he said, listen, if you keep on taking that medicine, your liver will give up. It's so toxic. He said, malaria and those things are part of life here. Just use a mosquito net and be careful.
What about dengue fever?
I don't know that, people would get it every once in a while,
Right.
but it's, I don't know what the protection was except we did have the doctor come to Rateux, and he gave us a whole lecture on not leaving water sitting around. Still water is what mosquitoes breed in, and that's where malaria comes from. There was a book called Where There Is No Doctor, which the World Health Organization puts out. And they print it on virtually newspaper paper, and so that it's very inexpensive, and so I bought a copy, and I was the one who knew something about health. I knew how to deliver babies. I knew how to fix bones. I knew. So, no, we all would think back to those days with pleasure, with a smile. So yes, I think we were talking about the Tibetans and the hardships that they experienced. And what I'm talking about is once Tibetans were all already settled in the settlements, the hardship that they went through getting to the settlements and living in the tents, as His Holiness says, and building the buildings that we then were living in. They were tough times. And so they were given land. Each person, the lay families, each person got an acre of land. The monks got 2 acres for every 3 monks. And initially that seemed to be right, except suddenly there were more and more monks coming out of Tibet. It didn't work anymore because the lay people were not having so many children, and the monastic community was ballooning. And the monks had to go out, and at first there were no one had any tractors. The local villagers had oxen to pull their plows, but the Tibetans didn't. The monks didn't. So 3 monks would pull the plow, and they'd get the smallest monk to hold the plow to do the plowing, and it was all done by hand like that. So as I say, so that's what His Holiness is referring to. The Tibetans, as they talk about this, do so with a big smile on their faces. And then we grew corn and rice, and you had to sort of think: is it going to be a rainy monsoon? And if it was going to rain a lot, you would grow rice, and if it was not going to be as wet, then you would grow corn. When you grew corn, the wild boar would come and eat the corn. And so young monks had to spend all night up scaring away the wild boar. And they would make noises in the middle of the night. You would hear from scaring away the... not in the settlement where I was, but in another settlement, there were elephants that would come, and so the monks would go out with all the pots and pans and bang, 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 to scare away the elephants. There was one poor Tibetan layman who was trying to scare away an elephant that attacked him and killed him. So there were definitely a lot of difficult times, but so.
I thought you were supposed to use fire to scare the elephants back.
We didn't have
You were
elephants.
spot and pot.
Not us. No. In Bailakupe they had elephants, and they would scare them away with noise. So, where are we at? Yes. The indication here is that if we can develop this equanimity of inner peace, no matter what difficulties we meet with in life, our basic sense of well-being will not be undermined. It also follows that though there is no denying the importance of external factors in bringing this about, we are mistaken if we suppose that they can ever make us completely happy. So it's not. It also follows that though there is no denying the importance of external factors in bringing this about, we are mistaken if we suppose that they can ever make us completely happy. So external factors are not what is going to make us completely happy. Inner peace is. Okay, I think maybe this is the time to devote to celebrating His Holiness's 91st birthday. So let us we shall recite the Sutra of the Recollection of the Noble Three Jewels. I prostrate to the Omniscient One. Thus the Buddha, Bhagava, Tathagata, Arhat, Samyak Sambuddha, the learned and virtuous one, the Sugata, the knower of the world, the charioteer and tamer of beings, the unsurpassable one, the teacher of devas and humans, is the Buddha Bhagavat. The Tathagata is in accord with all merit. He does not waste the roots of virtue. He's completely ornamented with all patience. He's the basis of the treasures of merit. He's adorned with the minor marks. He blossoms with the flowers of the major marks. His activity is timely and appropriate. Seeing him, he is without disharmony. He brings true joy to those who long with faith. His knowledge cannot be overpowered. His strength cannot be challenged. He is the teacher of all sentient beings. He is the father of bodhisattvas. He is the king of noble ones. He is the guide of those who journey to the city of Nirvana. He possesses immeasurable wisdom. He possesses inconceivable confidence. His speech is completely pure. His melody is pleasing. One never has enough of seeing him. His form is incomparable. He's not stained by the realm of desire. He's not stained by the realm of form. He's not affected by the formless realm. He's completely liberated from suffering. He's completely and utterly liberated from the skandhas. He is not possessed with dhatus. His ayatanas are controlled. He's completely cut the knots. He's completely liberated from extreme torment. He's liberated from craving. He's crossed over the river. He's perfected in all the wisdoms. He abides in the wisdom of the Buddha Bhagavats who arise in the past, present, and future. He does not abide in nirvana. He abides in the ultimate perfection. He dwells on the bhumi where he sees all sentient beings. All he is the perfect virtues of the greatness of Buddha Bhagavata. The holy Dharma is good at the beginning, good in the middle, and good at the end. Its meaning is excellent. Its words are excellent. It is uncorrupted. It is completely perfect and completely pure. It completely purifies. The Bhagavat teaches the Dharma well. It brings complete vision. It is free from sickness. It is always timely. It directs one further. Seeing it fulfills one's purpose. It brings discriminating insight for the wise. The Dharma, which is taught by the Buddha Bhagavat, is revealed properly in the Vinaya. It is enunciation. It causes one to arrive at perfect enlightenment. It is without contradiction. It is pithy. It is trustworthy. It puts an end to imagination. As for they enter completely, they enter insightfully, they enter straightforwardly, they enter harmoniously. They are worthy of veneration and enjoyment. They are worthy of instruction. They are free of glorious merit. They are completely capable of receiving all gifts. They are an object of generosity. They are a real object of complete generosity. The protector is great kindness, the omniscient teacher, the basis of merit and virtue. I prostrate to the Tathagata, pure the cause of freedom and compassion, virtuous, liberating from the lower realms. This alone is the supreme ultimate truth. I prostrate to the Dharma, which is peace, having been liberated to show the path to liberation. They are fully dedicated to the disciplines. They are only feeling the merit of possessed virtue. I prostrate to the Sangha. I prostrate to the Buddha, the leader. I prostrate to the Dharma, the protector. I prostrate to the Sangha, the community. I prostrate respectfully always to be free. The Buddha's virtues are inconceivable. The Dharma's virtues are inconceivable. The Sangha's virtues are inconceivable. Having faith in these inconceivables, therefore the fruitions are inconceivable. May they be born in a completely pure realm. Okay, let us read the 8 verses on training the mind. With the determination to accomplish the highest welfare of all sentient beings who surpass even a wish-granting jewel, I will learn to hold them supremely dear. Whenever I associate with others, I think of myself as the lowest amongst all, and respectfully hold others to be supreme from the very depths of my heart. In all actions I will learn to search into my mind, and as soon as a disturbing emotion arises, endangering myself and others, I will firmly face and avert it. I will learn to cherish ill-natured beings and those impressed by strong mind-states, as if I had found a precious treasure difficult to find. When others out of jealousy treat me badly, with abuse, slander, and so on, I will learn to take all loss and offer the victory to them. When the one whom I have benefited with great hope unreasonably hurts me very badly, I will learn to view that person as an excellent spiritual guide. In short, I will learn to offer to everyone without exception all help and happiness directly and indirectly, and respectfully take upon myself all harm and suffering from others. I will learn to keep all these practices undefiled by the stains of the eight worldliness, and by the times that my fellow is like illusions, be released from the bondage of attachment. Now the prayer for a swift return. Exalted wisdom of all victors gathered in a drop, sole refuge manifest in the form of the one wearing saffron robes, Guru Lobsang Tumang Dojechan. Please bear witness here today that our prayers may be fulfilled. We beseech the great torch of doctrine, accomplishing from long ago the vast ways of aspirational prayers, Lord of speech of the victor Lobsang's teachings, spreading them to the ends of the earth by means of explanation and practice. Though holding the commitment, I will invite all beings to be my guests in unsurpassed great awakening, yet you have withdrawn the activities of the form body that serves the welfare of others. Is that worthy of the supreme beings, the Bodhisattvas? Though impossible for you to seek an existence end, to abandon your commitment to liberate all beings, we beseech the new son of Nirmanakaya to swiftly return from the realm of Dharmakaya, brought forth by bodhicitta, drawn by seven steeds. Having reached the far limits of scholarship, religious life, and goodness, please come swiftly as an unrivaled supreme emanation, the full holder of the sage's teachings, and wish-fulfilling jewel. Returns the glory of Losang Tenpe. Magnificent truth of the three precious jewels, Mahakala, Karmayama, and Srimati Devi, and the ocean of Dharma protectors, may you spontaneously fill our village the swift blossoming of the incarnation's fresh moonlight. So now we can sing Happy Birthday to His Holiness. I'll let you sing within yourselves, but we are wishing His Holiness a happy birthday. And to wish, we will have, you're going to light the candles. Should be 91. Ah, so who's going to blow the candles out? Darren, you have big lungs.
Not a bad Catholic. No, she can't do it.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Your Holiness. Happy birthday to you. May you live. Yes.